and he basically told stories, those horror stories about how we're number one, in terms of fraud. And what they do here in Medicare fraud is they have such a transient population that they even think about sometimes, most of the time they don't get caught or they escape to a number of places they can take a boat and escape. But a lot of times what they've been doing for millions of dollars of fraud, they say, hey, 1 to 10 years, and if I'm in good behavior, I get out after 2 years. It may not be, they even think about it as a financial benefit, 2 years for these millions of dollars. Morals are not part of this, And when he was surprised when he was talking to students, some of the students didn't think it was such a bad deal. They're from my finance students, they were computing here, how much is it, was it worth it? So threats here, you need to know what a threat is. Natural and environmental. What is malware? You need to know about viruses, right? You always think about it. The Trojans, the software, spyware, and this is really big. As we were talking about, encrypts and locks folders, demands money to unlock, is the ransomware. And the whole idea here is how can I create an environment that security is important. I need to manage and mitigate my risks. Always there's risk. I need to get insurance, but in the best of it, if I think about it, the documents then, or the review then, of what I need is I need to attest for meaningful use security-related objectives. And what's a test mean? You see this on number 6? What's a test mean? Anybody know? Account for basically say that this is true in meaningful use here for security-related objectives is the key. Cybersecurity, the whole idea of strong passwords, protecting my mobile devices, having firewalls, planning for the unexpected, creating backups, controlling access. This is important. Anybody familiar with this? Who knows about this? Let's go to it. Type it in. N-I. In some ways I love it when you don't know because I'm thinking, I think about the other side is you guys need to know this. What is NIST? First of all, what does it stand for and who cares? And Angela, when you wanted to do with your group, and when you wanted to do with your group, anything in security, this has to be a standard here. What does it stand for, NIST? First of all, guys. National Institute of Standards. There's an Institute of Standards in every country. The United States is called the National Institute of Standards, and notice its domain name is NIST.gov. And if we go there, you can see that if I look at the menu, you can see they have a number of publications, resources about it. They are setting standards in every industry. So you can see here of health and bioscience, cybersecurity. So if I go to, this is important, anybody wanting to go to that field of cybersecurity, you see there's something called a cybersecurity framework. Again, there's something called a cybersecurity framework. And in the side here, these are 5 steps, you can put in your notes. These are 5 steps that are essential in any cybersecurity framework. The first is to identify. What is my security threat. The second is to protect it. The third is to detect it. The fourth is to respond. Once I've detected it, what do I do about it, that threat? And the fifth, of course, is to recover from that threat. Those are 5, I don't care what industry you are, but it's essential for healthcare because I'm always telling you what, it's life and death. And I just was speaking to some other folks, and this area is booming in terms of people, cybersecurity anyways in general, they're lacking in qualified personnel. But healthcare, number 1, is they're lacking even more, and number 2, do you think it's important? Duh. Of course it is. I mean, it's essential. That I think all of a sudden I'm going to have the ransomware. All of a sudden they're gonna hack into my IoT device. Oh, at home maybe, you know, my thermostat and make it cold or make it hot. And here I'm wearing that IoT. I'm connected to a machine. And if that machine is on the internet, can you imagine how they can turn it off? And you know, you're worried about the whole grid. And you know, when we have hurricanes, aren't we? You know, that poor thing, what was it, Irma? You know, those nursing homes in Hollywood, that disaster. And they're taking the lower people to jail. You know, did you notice that? What about the upper people? You don't see them, right? No, but none of those, they have real good lawyers, right? Who they take some schmoey, probably administrator, you know, take her to jail, you know, or is she going to the court? I mean, these are abominable that you're thinking about it. But this, I wanted to just to show you here, if you're really interested in getting here, is that you can see here, they have a national security with this cyber security that you can see what is the Internet of Things, how can we secure it? Look that you can see this, look how I get excited here. But it's just important on this conference is here, safeguarding health information, building assurance through HIPAA security. You know, and here is they're announcing sponsorship, a content to direct the dynamic, what do they say? Dynamic and challenging environment faced by all organizations that encounter healthcare or information. The on-demand for healthcare, rapidly changing technologies have produced what? Enterprise-wide. What's enterprise mean? The entire organization. Risk management. What does risk management mean? Basically, I have to manage the risk. I want to lower my risk and I have to manage it in threats. New vehicles for storing, transferring health information of real time make the new standard and expectation of patients and providers alike. So they're basically telling you, look at this, the HIPAA security rule remains the cornerstone for protecting, but effective protection cannot be achieved by simply following past year's formulas. And they're going to do it here with what they have, and they're telling us what the agenda is. They have a lot of these, and then they have the agenda. Key findings, panel securing, picturing, archiving, best practices, data governance. Look at this, artificial intelligence in the healthcare space. You think these folks have a clue how to protect this? No way. So they're doing that framework, risk management tool, and then they're going to do the risk approach to current and emerging healthcare threats. Key considerations, APIs. What's an API? What's an API?
Application programming.
An application programming interface. That means what? That if I have an EHR system and I want to add on to it, I have an application programming interface. I create that. So Angela's group creates an application programming interface for an Epic system. If you created that, guess what? She can also create a bug that scrapes up all the patient information. And she may be located who knows where in the world and just sucks it up. So even if you have those new add-ons, how do you secure that? So this is when we go back to our power, but this is what they mean when they said the NSIT. So now, do you see, hey, look at this. Identify, let me go back up. Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Doesn't it make sense? Even if I ask you what are the 5, you would even know that instinctively. I got to identify what the problem is, then I got to protect it, then I have to detect it when it gets invaded. Then I have to respond. What am I going to do? My server's down, and how am I going to recover? And then the summary. Another open-ended question could even be of discussing the administrative safeguards, the physical safeguards, the technical safeguards. What are the differences? Now we know the breach notification rule, HIPAA and Foreman, and the threats. The threats can be human, it can be natural, it can be environmental. Think about for this, where we live, flooding, right? Hurricanes. What are we going to do? We're offline. How do I keep all this safe? So many of these spywares coming on, ransomware. That's chapter 9. How important is it? Crucial. That's why I wanted to add it in the first exam. And then we'll have some guest speakers too that deal with this for a living.
Will you tell us, like, if we're supposed to look at certain PowerPoints for the exam next week?
Pardon?
Are you gonna tell us if we're supposed to look at certain PowerPoints for the exam next week?
Well, you should look for those chapters 1, 2,
Look at their
3,
PowerPoints.
4,
Okay.
and 9, and I'll review it and tell you what's more important.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know that, and then the quizzes and the readings and the back of the book, you know those.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so much detail. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's so overwhelming that's why I said a good area is starting from the back of just being able, I know this terminology, and I know what it's talking about, and I know what are the issues here. Okay? And then we'll do open-ended. Okay? Questions on that? So that was a good review, kind of, but on the idea of the security. I'll give you in more detail with it, but here they talk about privacy, confidentiality, and security, but we really need to also talk about, which they don't enough, is what I talk about, that availability as well, and accessibility. Sometimes they use it. Sometimes you'll see this triangle be called the CIA, not Central Intelligence Agency, but rather confidentiality, integrity, and availability or accessibility. And that's my key too, is that I need to do my work. So we're getting so secure that I can, but then on the other end, I need to be able to rely on it. Okay? Questions? Okay. So let me just do a little bit, and what we're talking about it also when I went through this. Let me go back to this, because I could have gone here too. Is in the beginning, that was chapter 9. I'm going to even start a little bit, if you don't mind, a little bit of review so you can even have an idea of what to ask me even next week, you know, because the following week we're going to be off. So in this case, what's key here is that healthcare data and the data sources and the data quality and this is, look how much data there is here in this chapter of data accessibility, data accuracy, data consistency, granulation here, data quality, timeliness. I can't tell you enough of how important that timeliness is. And then we talk about databases and data warehouses. What's a data warehouse? Anybody know? What's a data warehouse? Yes.
It's basically a collection of databases that stores like all the companies.
So what's the difference between, this is a good question, what's the difference between is there a difference between a database and a data warehouse? And what's the difference between a database and a database management system and a data warehouse? What's key about data warehouse? And what's the difference between a data warehouse and a data management
I
system?
think one of them, the data is organized and the other one's unorganized.
No.
The data flows to the data
And that's
warehouse.
large.
What?
The data flows to the data warehouse to get to the end user.
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you what the key is. A database management system is real-time transactional. These are my real-time, many times even you use database management system, think about inventory. If I have supplies in my healthcare facility, and I have a database management system taking care of that, and I have an inventory system, that inventory system will be real time, meaning that if I'm looking for sheets, those sheets is what I have what I have stored. And what's the difference here? All of a sudden when we hear the word warehouse, we think the word warehouse is like I have storage facility where I'm keeping my supplies. You know, I open up the closet and I get my supplies, or I open up my thing, but it's different. And the difference is a lot of times the database management system is dealing with live data. A data warehouse the data is historical. Put that in your notes. The data warehouse is historical data that I use for hypothesis testing. The data warehouse I use for studies that I have that I can mine my data. Let's think about our patient database. I can get characteristics of my patients and I can I can store them in a data warehouse, and I can do mining on that data warehouse. So they're related, but one is not, and both of them are organized. You may be thinking about structured versus unstructured, but it's organized. And I can have on a data warehouse, and in a data warehouse I can even have something called a data mart, like a small section where I can say, okay, you know what, let's think about it. We want to promote this hospital, and let's think about what are going to be, and let's say we want to get people in, maybe we're going to do some meditation classes for the community, because we want to get them more involved in some of our physical therapy sessions that we have. So I can create that and look at and explore using my data warehouse. And along with my data, you see how I have my data statistics, I have my healthcare record. And you see here, the PHI is my protected health information, along with my population health. So what we looked at last time, let me show you a couple of things. let me just do this. Let me go back to NinjaTrader 8 here. Yep, NinjaTrader 8. Let's open it up.
What questions on NinjaTrader 8 beyond that?
I'll tell you which type. I won't be asking you, how do you open up a file? You know, give me the keystrokes of anything on NinjaTrader 8. You got that, Sebastian?
Yeah.
But I may do things, you remember that automated trading system, those 2 articles that I gave, which really deal with NinjaTrader 8. I'm not gonna ask you specific things about NinjaTrader 8, because that's just a platform. But what I may wanna do is ask you about what is back testing, what do we talk about, it's forward, things like that, and I'll show you in a minute. So, and this also deals with when we deal with data. When I'm dealing with data and I want to analyze data, everybody have this? Open up NinjaTrader 8 with me. And we'll end a bit early so I can answer all your questions and I can give you a little assignment and I can work with all of you, okay? So bear with me. Anytime I open up any data, analytics, program, this one is called, it's a platform. And that platform I need to connect data to. So let's go to connections. And I want end of day, but I can get data just like any type of data I can connect with the frequency. That frequency from an IoT healthcare device can be tick by tick or second by second, or it can be the end of day, it can be aggregated at the end of the day. It can be open and closed. So in this way, if I say kinetic end of day, click on it, what does that sound mean to me?
It's on.
It's on. Meaning, what does it mean that I'm on? That this is via what? That do I need the internet for this sound to occur? Just, yes. And if my internet, and what I can do here, what's the problem with this? Of how we're running it? Internet's down, I can't get the data. Also what the problem is I need to have a machine here, physically here. So many times what you will have, and think about it, this will be, is you remember we talked about the cloud services? I would have someone else, what does it mean in the cloud? Basically store then a machine running NinjaTrader somewhere else. And I can then observe it via a browser to see how I'm doing. I don't have to have it running on my machine. Many of you don't have Windows, right? You don't have Windows, you don't have to worry about it. Have somebody else as a service and you just see the results. You'll have it done. Now, if I do this with me, so I'm connected, everybody connected. I'm opening up NinjaTrader 8, 64, I'm doing 64-bit. We'll see whether it works or not. Now I'm gonna do new, and I'm gonna do a chart. And it asks me for some type of instrument, it doesn't matter. This is data, and I can then just select any one that I want. I did the biotech last time. I'm just gonna do IBM. We're gonna say, hey, that's Watson. IBM now is buying healthcare companies, left and right. I'm gonna choose IBM, and I have to make sure that my type of data matches the data that I'm connected to. Always having to match. So in this case, what data type does it have to be? Day. Wow, what a class. And in this case, by default, it's the number of days I want to analyze. I'm having it at 365. The end date is today. I'm going to leave everything else the same. And what should I do? I'm going to just say, okay. It's loading the data. It tells me it's IBM. It tells me the type that it's daily. And what I want to do is two things. I want to analyze this data, and I want to see how I want to, in some ways, when I just look at this data like here, and it's behind here, it's easy for me in the past to say, you know what? I think we should buy here. Guess what? I'm brilliant. We should buy here and then we should sell here. How does that sound? You think we make money?
Yeah.
Yeah, but guess what?
We don't know that.
We don't know that. We don't know what's going to be in the future. The idea is here what's going to be. To look back, right? I could tell you all my mistakes I made. You know what I should have done? Shouldn't have done this, and I shouldn't have, moved there. I should have, it's easy looking in the rear view mirror, but I have to look forward. What am I planning? So in this case, what we have to do and what you need to know here let me just show you one more thing. You just reminded me. Is right here is I need to have something called, something's called sometimes an indicator, and something is called a strategy. An indicator is like a formula. An indicator is like a function in Excel. Put that in your notes. An indicator is a formula, it's a function similar than in Excel. But all it will do is will alert me, but it will not tell me when to buy and when to sell. It's just an indicator. A strategy, on the other hand, is a set of rules that are made up of indicators, a set of rules that are made up of an indicator that will tell me when to buy and when to sell, and will buy and sell for me. The platform will buy and sell for me. So all I have to do is go to the beach with my phone and check how much I'm making, and I can just relax and watch you when you're in the ocean and the wave when your yacht goes by. Okay, so if I now everybody go to strategy. You see this little circle here? Go to strategy. And there's strategies, there's hundreds of strategies. You can write your own strategy. You can get free strategies, or you can buy strategies, or you can lease them.
Let's buy them.
What?
I said we should buy some.
Well, okay. Later on. First we need to crawl before we're buying everything. You don't take out your credit cards just yet, okay? As a matter of fact, in another class, I had one of these princes from Saudi Arabia. I think his father used to trade for one of the big guys. He used to do trading of stocks, and I had the president of TradeStation. Remember I told you they were former guys? They came to give a lecture. It was just by coincidence. And they saw this guy, and I said, in my class, nobody is doing anything live. I didn't want these guys going after me after I lost, all their money, They blame me for losing their millions. So quickly, remember that thing of pros and cons, you can lose money quicker by doing this stuff too. This way, doing it manually, I just lose on my own, slowly. This way, I lose quickly. So we're going to take this sample MA crossover, and later on, if you're interested in this, we can look at other ones, and I'm going to add it. So I have sample MA crossover. The 10 and 25 are arguments. So you see here, fast is 10, and what is that enough? Is the fast is taking 10 of these along the way, going slow, 25 of these, and then what is this? I have sample, maximum look bar is 256, 20, and you see this where it says enabled? Everybody see that? How are you doing? Angela, help your neighbors. Is she okay? Okay. So now we're going to say enabled, and I'm going to say apply. And it says, although you have order confirmation enabled, orders generated by a strategy will be submitted without confirmation. Meaning, if you're attached to your broker, you don't have to say confirm. It's going to do it. Be careful. It's not going to say, Sierra, do you want to do this? Yes or no. It's just going. And if it's making money, you're happy. If it's losing money, then you're crying somewhere. Okay, so now I'm going to say okay, and now you're going to say okay. And now you can see where it was. The dotted green is telling me what I mean, and then if I go backwards in time, it's telling me how did I do. Here it went down, but it's dotted because what? It thought it was going to go down, it sold short. You remember all this? Everybody remembers. Now, once you have this, go back to your control center. Everybody in your control center? You should have two windows. Everybody in your control center? And now I want you to click new. Now I want you to click new. How are we doing? We're doing. Now I want you to go to control center.
I was in the bathroom when it started, so.
Okay, so go through this. We're in the bathroom, but we're okay. So go on. So let's log on. So we're here. So look on here. So I'm in the control center of new. And now what do I want? Well, I can do strategies, but what I want to do is, you see where it is, Angela, you see where it says Ninja Script Editor? Mm-hmm. Click on Ninja Script Editor. Let's see if anything's working. When you write software, there's something called source code. It's computer language that you write the software in. What languages have you heard of? Python, what else? Java, what else? C++, there's many others. Ninja Trader is a Windows software, and it's written in what they call C#. Anybody play any music, like sharps and flats? It's actually written like that. It's called C#. It basically is a version. It's called C#. It's a version of Java for Windows. Ninja Trader, anybody hear of JavaScript, right? You've heard of scripting languages? NinjaTrader's platform is C#, and they have a version of C# called NinjaScript. And what does that mean? What it means to you and why you care is it's the programming language, but it has all the built-in libraries of a trading platform. So a programmer does not have to write the indicators. A programmer does not have to write what an SMA does. A programmer does not have to write when it crosses above. The programmer does not have to write how to enter a short trade, how to enter a long trade. All those programming concepts that have to do with trading already are written for you.
This is open source?
And it's open source. So let's see the open source. So where do you think in the NinjaScript Explorer we should go to find strategies? Where in the NinjaScript Explorer should we go for strategies? Any ideas?
Second from last.
Strategies. So open up, double click strategies. And which one have we been using up to now? Look at this class, I'm just so impressed. And let's just then click on it. And I'm going to properties, and I'm going to change it to make it bigger so we can see it. And did you see? I'll show you where it is. I canceled it. I just right here, right clicked on the screen. I went to properties. Now I'm going to go to the text editor. I'm going to pull that down. And I see here 13 point. I'm going to make it, let's make it 20 points. And I'm going to apply, and I'm going to say okay. Help each other.
Just make the-
Right click, cool.
Everybody got there? Raise your hand if you have problems.
Yeah, right here.
Help each other. If you have problems, help her into it. Everything's easy when you know it. Now in a programming language, if you look at the first 4 lines here, they start with what? Forward slashes, right? So those are comments. The only problem with the comments do what? Only humans can read that. So line 1, 2, 3, and 4 are just comments. And notice it says copyright and so forth. The pluses I'm not going to bother right now. If you're really interested in the programming, you can open that up. It doesn't matter. But you can see here, let me just even show you. This is looking like what? It looks like Java, right? It looks like C++. It's easy, right? You can see here the name of the strategy right here is called what? Sample MAS crossover. You just highlighted it. You can see that. You have 2 variables. One is called what? SMA fast. The other one's called SMA slow that we dealt with. How much was in, by default, what did we say fast was equal to? 10, right? What did we say the slow was by default? 25. You see that? Now, you remember, I'm just going to go back here for a second, but you remember when we had our chart, right? When we had our chart here, remember we had a gold and we had a green? You see this? I have the gold SMA and I have the, right, I have the gold one, I have the green one. If I go back to my code, right? If I go back to my code, what am I seeing? When I go back to my code, look at this. Goldenrod, seek green. Basically, I can read it almost left, instead of left to right, right to left. goldenrod brushes, right? My fast plot, my green. But this is the key right here. That's my logic. And read me the logic then. So read me the logic. You have it right there. Read me the logic starting from what? Starting from line 66. Read it out loud. If it crosses above the SMA fast over the SMA slow, then what do you want the computer to do? Line 67, enter long, meaning what? Buy it. Else, keep on reading. Else if cross below the SMA fast crosses below the SMA slow, what should you do?
Sell it.
Sell it. No, but you don't sell it. What do we do? Enter short means I'm betting it's going to go down. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow that stock and then I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it back at a cheaper price and make the difference. But the idea is I'm betting it's going down. That's it. But what's so great here is, one, if you're starting to be, these people make a lot of money that write this code, but they write it in groups. They don't be by themselves. So I have somebody like the physician here that knows where we're going to be talking about healthcare stocks and can think about what are the ideas to basically pertain to it. I have my mathematicians, I have my statisticians, I have my programmers, I have my finance people working together as a group doing this. And what we have that specialty is in healthcare, because that's basically, you think about it. Am I going to do biotech? Am I going to do hospitals? Am I going to do the whole thing? And then you can think about it. And then what do I want? I want then to incorporate what we call AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning. And when my strategy starts losing money, I want the machine to start looking for other strategies, back test it, optimize it, and do it on a consistent basis. You think even if I have a winning strategy, it's going to continually work? Well, no. So it needs to be modified, it needs to be tweaked for each time that we do it. So this is called, what we're talking about data analysis, this is the source code. So what can you do? You can use other strategies all the time, and all you have to do, you don't even have to touch the source code. All you're doing is have it run, and I'm going to set my limits. I don't want to be, remember how we were talking about risk management? This is also risk management. I don't want to lose more than so much money per day, or I don't want to lose more than a certain percentage, or when I start losing, get me out. And that's part of the rule. When I start winning, I don't want to be too greedy. Remember, greed always is too much. So I'm good enough with a certain percent. Just like we did with the other ones that you can see.
But don't they say that when you start losing, don't sell at that time because it'll go up again?
Well, that's what idiots say. Yes. Because what? Because it can keep on going down. Sometimes what they have said in the past is just buy it once and just keep on doing it. But with these machines, when it's for the day, is sometimes you need discipline, and you need to, just like anything else, is that you have to follow your rules. There have been these things that just buy and hold, right? Then we'll overcome it, where I can buy a stock. Let's say I bought Amazon when it came out at 100, now it's 2,000. Don't even bother. That's a completely different thing. I don't need a computer programmer to program to do this. I don't need an automated trading system. That's just buy and sell. I bought it 10 years ago, I bought it 5 years ago, Amazon, I'm keeping it and I'm gonna give it to my grandkids at the end. It's a completely different, I don't need an automated trading system for that. So what they're doing, they're making their money on those vagrancies, because what people in general do is they tend to exaggerate, just like the market. It all comes back to the mean a lot of times, you know, where it goes far down. So that's it. It's a good point. Excellent. Okay? And then you can see that you see that, and I'm just showing you because of my computer problem. Then you can see, when you read this, you can read the code. Even if you didn't know C#, right? You can read the code. You can compile, and notice here, some of you may be injured. Here, this is Microsoft has its own editor. Microsoft said, hey, you can bring this to my own editor. But this is what they call a Ninja script editor. And each of these, if I go to indicators even, remember the indicators? I told you I didn't have to write my indicators. If I go to SMA, do you see an SMA here? I see an SMA here. This is my code of my SMA. I don't have to write my SMA. It's written. All this stuff doesn't matter. You don't have to, you're not going to write any code. Don't worry. You know what I mean? But you have to understand, this is example of what they call source code. And when Angela's asking, what's open source, you see everything's open. You can change this, you can make your own names. Some you can't, you keep it and you just call your own names to this. This is what they're talking about. And then you can get all your, then look at this, if I go back, and I go to my control center and I say new, I can go to, you see here I have Ninja Script Editor, and then if I go to Tools, you see here of Import, I can import not only my stock symbol list, but historical data. I can export my historical data. I can import then strategies and just bring them in here. That's it. So for next week, let me just show you one more. What I'd like you to do is let me just see what we have here. Let me go to the audit area. Then we'll finish up soon. I'm going to go to BTE 450 audit. I now will go to course documents. In the groups, automated trading system, everybody should have then a folder called automated trading system. Every group has to have a folder called automated trading system. And in the group then, for instance, is Pharma Stock Analyzer Data, very nice. And then we have the grids. And now I need to do here, if I look at, for instance, I'm going to open up then the pharma. Very good, group 1, excellent. And if I open up the pharma, which is nice here, I have my profit per month, I have the Teva. Now what am I looking at? What did I do here? That's the problem. They have a nice thing, but what did I run here? So what you need to do is you need to go back, and we'll do this next one to make sure is, is this optimized?
Define optimize.
How did you run this? Using optimize, define optimize? That's good. So what am I looking here? I have Teva, and what does this mean to me?
That Teva is the one that has the highest
Profit per month,
profit per month
based
percent.
on what?
Based on
What does this mean?
222
parameters.
It went on fast 2, right? 22 was slow, right?
Correct.
And very good. And it had 6% a month. Had I invested in this versus this is then 5. And notice, is that good?
Yeah.
How much do I get in the bank? If I put my money in my bank, how much?
2%, 3%.
Not that much even, 2% maybe a year. At most 1.5% a year. How much am I making here? 6.1%. And so per year, it's over, what, it's close to 70-some percent. I'm gonna have a year. So in this case, what I'd like you to do, which is nice, you've named the sheet. I want to enable editing so I can do it. You've named the sheet well. What I'd like here is that you use then the optimization. And what's nice here is that they have the NinjaTrader grid, the date that they did it, the Pharma Teva. Now the next thing would be interesting is that what's it gonna be, this was when? Last week you did this?
This is on September 18th, 2019.
The-
Last Wednesday.
The question is what's doing it? Because this was what? Just like the data warehouse. Think about the beauty here. The data warehouse, this is a moment in time. Is this live data? Now it's not. When we were at the data feed, even when we do the data feed, end of day, this is a great test question. When you do a data feed and connect to end of day, am I using live data? So a lot of this data, you can think about it then, Angela, is like a data warehouse. You understand? Because what you're doing now is we're trying to find the best strategies based on what? Historical data. And then later what it's going to be, when would it be is that I pay for, sometimes I'll show you that you don't, is when we're real traders, what do we want? We want live data. Right now we're just practicing, so we're using historical to create our hypotheses. So these are nice examples of the concepts that we learn in what are in the book. And you say, what does all this mean? They're throwing out all these terms. You can go red in the face, blue in the face. You almost can faint when you're reading all those terms in the book. They can give you a headache and you go dizzy. But the whole idea, I'm trying to make it to come to life. So the idea here is, the next idea is, where is it going further? And that's what I'll show you next week, is how can I track it? Sebastian, do you want to keep on doing this every day? No. But what it is then I have a program that will do what? I know at the end of the day, every end of the day, it will connect the data behind the scenes, analyze it, and trade on what? Trade on the highest stocks. And then check each time to see what? Will I be 100% correct? What do you think? No. So it will then modify, getting me closer, and especially to what? My profit targets. I know I'm going to have losses. If somebody tells you, you know what? My strategy will never give you losses. And then you know what you can tell them? I don't trust you, right? It's just like the snake oil, right? I'll cure you, you know what I mean? I'll make you walk from your wheelchair, right? In a minute. Just believe in me. So it's the same idea here. But our next one that we'll do next week is allow you then to look at systems that are automated. That will take this, not in the moment in time, but keep on seeing how well it improves. And see, is this strategy good, for instance, on Teva? And it may be another one jumping up. Or we may have to change the strategy, or do something like, remember that what they were reading to me, else, short, maybe take out the shorts. Maybe the model isn't good for the shorts. Just do like you were saying, just do the longs at certain times. But exit properly. How was that? Did you understand the blending of the two? Of the data warehouse, the data integrity, and how do we even know this data is correct? Because if the data is wrong, my calculations are problems. And it's nice, you made it per month, very good. The only thing I would add here is what did I use? I used the optimization, right? On which parameters?
What do you, slow, nice and slow,
So I'm not gonna save, but excellent. And then if I go back, the same idea here is pharma, so what's the difference here?
good question, I forgot.
And you know what the problem is? If I don't title it correctly when we look at it a week later, it's like, I don't know what it is. So what was this?
Oh, those are the,
One's like the top part of the like
It's
analysis and one's the bottom.
these are just the,
It's a performance report of what?
of the overall totals of the pharma,
It's using how many stocks?
it's using the 30 we chose for pharmaceutical.
Okay, so you need to describe what it is.
Just,
Right. Pharma's totals group, what is totals, even make a legend, even put it in here, what is totals? Pharma, how many companies? Was that 30, was it 10?
30, yeah.
What, did you have the list?
Oh, yeah.
So put the list in here, put the list, make another tab. So when somebody looks at it, you're going to an interview. How many people even have this skills in an interview to say, hey, we've also analyzed, for instance, healthcare pharma stocks. And then we can be, in terms of finance, we can help in terms of determining which stocks maybe you should maybe even acquire, or what we can invest in. Reverse it, think about how you can actually use it. So you want to have a portfolio, if we don't even remember what we did last week, I don't even remember a lot of times what I did yesterday or this morning, right? Let alone you want to show somebody this. Be as specific as you have. If you have the list of stocks, put the list of stocks, even put it in another tab, or put it on the side here. So we want to put here, then the list of stocks. So it would be nice even, those folks, now you know already what group, this is my, I haven't looked at the others, but this is one of my star groups here. But they've already gotten, seriously, you've already gotten, right, the idea. Now you have to go back and figure out, remember what you did and put it in, that you can then go and have a portfolio and show somebody, hey, look at what we've done here, and then have it, and I'll show you, then have it done, and then they'll say, you know what? Hey, this looks like, this is from when? What date is this? Do we even have the date here?
919.
Where does it say?
17, it's title,
It's,
yeah.
no, it's on the title.
Well, that was, we did it.
Yeah,
in
here, but
19.
this is from the dates, right?
Yeah.
These are the
Oh.
dates, right? Right, so this is what, so we wanna say these are the dates, so somebody said, well, you know, you go on your interview in 3 months from now, or 2 months from now, they said, well, this is 9/17. Well, what we wanna do, and I'll show you next week, is we'll then have it, that it will update, as soon as you open up your spreadsheet, it will bring up today's date. Cause where is today's date? It's already in a computer. What do you have to, you don't wanna run it again, do you? You won't even remember how to run it from 2 months from now. But the idea is, when you open up the system, then the system should automatically update. So you see how they're different people. You're in the health sector management, you're not programmers, but you know basically what's needed to do, and then later on, when they hire a programmer, they can communicate with somebody like Angela and say, hey, this is where we need to automate this part. And she can do some of the automation. Because when they think about it, is what's really big now is process automation. Automate. Where is that middle tier of all those jobs leaving? Is in the automation part. It's saying, hey, if I can automate, why do I have to have somebody do this 20 times, 100 times? Silly. I can use your brains on something else. If you know already how to tell somebody how to automate it, and you say, I know it can be done, I'll show you what the steps are, now teach the program the machine, and now we can have more and more data that it will have patterns to be able to improve. Yes.
Teva's now up to 7.8% profit. You know what to buy.
So, but you see how exciting it can be that you have it tracking. And the next time, you'll just look at your phone. And you'll just see it, and you'll say, okay, good, now I can go on my vacation. And on your vacation, even on the yacht, you can even look if you got internet access. And if you have a, hell yeah, you know what I mean? So you can do that,
Yeah, but parameters change.
right? So you can, and the parameters change, and everything changes. Life changes. And that's the beauty, and then you can even make another sheet, and then we can do differences. I'll show you next week where you do differences. We'll spend some time, we'll meet here again next week, and I'll show you some others in which we can do it even in Excel, where it does the updates. And the whole idea is it's a continual, it's not a one static time. It's a continual basis, but you don't want to be doing it every day. You just want to set it up once and let it, and the machine can even, it can be on a website somewhere, and you can even broadcast it. And you know what people do is they have a strategy and they sell it. They say, you know what, on the internet, either you can follow me or I'll lease you my strategy. And if you get thousands of people, you're leasing your strategy. And you can even give that to them where they don't even have open source. You compile it, Angela, you can compile it, and then basically you say, they'll do and NinjaTrader has what they call vendors, where you can become, a vendor of theirs, where you're using, they can even promote you, and you can give a webinar showing, Angela's strategy. You give the webinar there, and you have then followers, and then you can even have a morning session if you really get into it, trading with Angela from 9 to 9:30. And she can be anywhere in the world doing that, and then she can have other jobs. She says, I just want to do it, the open. So she starts at 9, she finishes at 10, finishes the day, and those people, they can view her, and other people can be subscribing. We just want to listen to Angela. And if you want to, you can buy, you can lease, you can buy her strategy. Or she may have many strategies for different instruments. This works really well, let's say, for the pharma. The other one works really well for biotech, another strategy. Another one maybe just for the hospital. You see that? Because each one works differently. But I just wanted to expose you, because everybody says AI, everybody says machine learning, and most people that say have no clue what they're saying. It's just like, throw it in, we're an AI or we're machine learning. But this is classic example for big data using AI and machines. So update it first, update it, you know what you're doing, and then make another sheet of the proper one, and then next week I'll show you how to automate that. Where you'll use I'll give you another sheet where you can just put in that once you open it up, it will automatically update because the data has changed. Excellent. Okay, what else? So what I want you to do is in groups, some groups, so we have this is perfect, and you see this of your groups. And then when you're thinking about the other part is in readings is to start getting with your groups and even attempt, starting with a rough draft of your website that we can look at it and we give agile development, that we can get feedback, that we can get more in depth of that. So we got a plan.
What did you say you wanted us to rename it?
Your spreadsheet,
Yeah? The totals one?
the totals, what is that from? Is that totals from what? Is that from a back test? Is that from an optimized? It's farmers totals from what?
From our optimization.
Optimization, so say optimization, what was it optimized, 1 through 10? And then, in the totals in the pharma too, there should be in the spreadsheet a list of what were those pharma stocks. Because when you say pharma, right? Where are those lists? Excellent work, guys. very nice, very impressive. And those of you that are having issues already, you know that one of the things I always say is help each other. And when your group helps other groups, then when they're having issues, they can help you. You got it? What else? What other questions? Yes.
So for the cheat sheet, can we, like, does it have to be written or can we type?
What?
The cheat sheet for the exam?
You can do it, you write by hand, you type it up, you can do whatever you want. But you just have acronyms, you know, it's just the names and the acronyms for your cheat sheet. Okay? So I'm gonna stay with you as long as you need me here. I'm part of everybody's group, and then we need to work also on our projects too of doing that. And then this is due, all of this, of the, we'll do a second part next week of adding of how do you make comparisons of how do you see of your improvements. Okay? Very good. So stay with me if you have questions. Otherwise, we'll meet next time. Okay? So stay with me if you have questions.
So, all the stocks in one would be a portfolio, right?
It's a portfolio, but you want to it'll be a portfolio of pharma, and then you want to have a list within it, Sebastian. It's a portfolio, but you want to, it'll be a portfolio.
Because,
But
like, this is my first time doing college.
do you want me to, I can do it in the new ones, do you want me to redo it to the old one as well as already
Do
on Blackboard?
redo what?
Like, do you want me to change it in the old one as well as the Blackboard and then upload it again, or just in the new one?
You mean, you're doing a revised version or what?
Yeah.
I
Everything-
did a revised version, if you wanted to like
Do you want-
type in all that stuff that you said we missed.
In the old version, in the,
Is this just an update?
yeah.
So just say update, give it a new date. Is that what you want? Yeah, so version, it's an updated
It's version
version.
2, yeah.
So put the date and time and then we'll know.
Right, but what I'm asking is if you want me to change the names and all that for the old version on Blackboard.
No,
No?
just do the new version, but just emphasize that this is the new version, that this is what we learned. But keep it so we know that you're up to date with
Gotcha.
what you have.
2 questions. Was that the attendance sheet?
I don't know what this was.
Okay. Second, our group wanted to talk to you regarding our project.
Yes, I'd love to. And what else? Okay, so let me just do this. Let me end the broadcast, okay?
Brand new. Yeah, like I updated the dates.
So I think this one okay.
No vote.
Yeah, me too. Well, we'll make it together. Okay, so did you upload anything?
No, we want
Okay.
to talk to you first
Okay,
before I
fine.
upload anything.
Okay.
This last time, so our first for 2020 was to do like the prescription app, but it's like one-stop shop for all prescriptions. Not only reminders, the educational cues, all that kind of thing. Last week we said that it was okay. I just don't know how to prove it. We just don't know how to really improve upon it. You suggested that we either do something for like home health aides, like an app.
So just for like
The health aides, like basically you find like nutrition, like the pharmaceutical.
Did you ever check with CVS?
They don't have an app, but they have a service that's part of the company where you can sign up for. It's not required, obviously, but you
But
can
sign up and we'll
It will text you, it will call you, it will email you, whatever form of communication that you want to put in. CVS does it, Walgreens, check Walgreens.
Did you check online?
Yeah, there wasn't, well, I already get calls from Walgreens, so I know that.
Okay, right.
Does it have the daily reminders though, for like different levels of track?
That it doesn't, it only has prescription refills.
So there was another component that we were thinking about, where it would, like, you could like set reminders on when you need to take the pills, and then you could like track what, like, if you're taking it that day. So for like people who are older or suffering from dementia, they have, a like detailed, concise list of the medications that they've taken, like, on which days that they've taken them, and like doses and things like that, so they can like communicate their physicians and needs better.
Basically, this would be an app to combine all of the smaller applications, so like there already are scheduler apps, like for reminders, there already is, like CVS has their own app. Basically there's a bunch of apps.
Yeah,
We were
five
trying
best
reminders,
reminders.
so we were trying to basically put all the applications that you use together into like one app.
Okay, cause you see here, even when I type in daily reminder for prescriptions, you see that? Medisafe, medication reminder.
But it's just like a reminder, if like, you know, like, I know like my grandparents went out, they're taking like a dozen pills, so you could mark like when you took it, you know, like if you took it that day, you know, and like just keep a tally, so when like, you know, my grandfather had Alzheimer's, like when like they
Yeah,
ask you what
but
you
there's
did.
not, yeah, but it has to be for its caregiver, cause no way he would even understand.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, like, luckily the progression's been very slow.
So,
He
yeah,
still
but
still
I'm just-
has,
Someone to be able to,
he is with moderate, so like, we
Yeah.
would also wanna make it in a way that it is very simple and user-friendly, where like, you know, like the big button is nothing like too extreme, so they could just like check it off, like kind of like a list. But it also, you know, could be just under the caregiver's, discretion.
yeah. So I mean, you have to do,
And once you do that, make sure to also change the list to whatever your.
We're not trying to focus on just like the reminders part, that's just like one
Okay,
part of the
and what's the
application.
other?
The other part would be the education and review section, so if people are looking for, this, you know how there's like commercials on TV, it's like asking provider about such and such medication, you could have like a database within an application that lists all the medications, all the side effects.
you can be linked, you can link to other.
Yeah, we can link
databases.
for other people that have either used the medication or providers that have prescribed the medication. Because I know the first thing I do before I start taking medications, I want to know about like the side effects and all that stuff. So that would be. And there's apps that do that, but they're not like it's not together like in one application. So that was kind of our goal. And then
We also had,
what was the other
we
one?
were also thinking about maybe having like an emergency service where you could like access the app without unlocking your phone, and like if you know an EMT or like other EMS personnel needed to see like what medications they want and like
Isn't there something like
concentration.
that now?
They have something on Apple. It's called
Apple.
Health. It's called Health,
But it's restrictive on what like is allowed.
on what information you can
So,
put in.
yeah.
It basically it's like height, weight, and then something else. But they have it's not as like selective as like
I
what
mean,
we're
like,
trying to do.
if, for example, like, you know, like, if we would want people to get in the
What are your
habit of
majors again?
documenting, health sciences.
We're health sciences here.
Yeah, business technology.
It's been Shannon's business technology.
Like, for example, like, I know, like, there's, like, we would want people to get in the habit of, like, documenting all their medication, and I know, for example, like, nitro is contraindicated if you're taking Viagra.
So it's
it's like, that popped up.
So maybe some kind of thing of a review of what's out there, and maybe like an integrator of,
Like a warning or something.
sounds good.
You think it's okay?
Yeah,
We could,
as
like
long
build
as-
something off of it.
You can build something off of it, or what's missing, and then you're integrating, so taking like the best of the
The
best,
best of the best.
best of the best, and integrating
And
something like that,
simplifying
and
everything.
simplifying, and then having a section, you can divide it up in stages, you know, this will be our first task, and then later on our second, third, fourth, and then finally, you know, and then that part you can do, you can even do now links to the sites that are telling you the side effects. There's sites now that you type in the drug and it'll tell you, you know, what is the
Or
contract.
even like other like common names, things like that.
Something like that. So what I would suggest you do, because yours is complicated, it's not that simple, is that you already start within his next to his almost put it together, you know, even start with even like Wix, in generically of what you want it to look like, and putting those, you know, putting that together of what are the stages.
Like we could each take a section, like
Yeah.
refills, education, provider, and
Right,
whatever.
and even your BT people can take on the integration part, you know, and how they're gonna integrate. You guys can do the concept, you can talk about, you know, integrating those together. Or maybe using things that already, some things, some apps that already exist, and you'll be like add-ons to them.
The percent.
You know, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, or maybe your add-ons. So when you think about, you know, they said the 5 best reminders, right, like the, you know, MedMinder or something like that. This is a vibrating pill reminder. Some of them I know that they've even tried some, are on the bottle. You know,
Oh,
when
it
you
has a
open,
countdown,
it
yeah.
has countdowns and so forth, you know, where everybody had so many pills in it now. I don't remember, did I take these or didn't I take these, you know, or did I take
You
two?
have to say mine last name?
But depending on where you are, some of them may be needing, like, good that your grandfather can now remember, but in,
Mine's
God
from.
forbid, you know,
Acid acids,
you know what I mean, and in a year from now, that isn't gonna unfortunately work, or that at least the caregiver can, or there's something where the family can see where there's
Yeah.
emergencies or something, or issues, where you know, your parents or your grandchildren can somehow get involved with it or something. So that's what I would do, but you need to almost like make it as a diagram now, rather than in words, almost sketch it out as a sketch thing of where are we going with this, and almost make one slide or a couple of slides of where you go. Show that to me next week, so each week I can respond to it.
Okay.
So show me like I'd like you to see it visually, a diagram of where we're gonna go with this, and then have another section of how we can integrate. These are the best that we found, possibly of integrating something. But it's good that you're I really do appreciate you're thinking about it and trying to improve, rather than slapping in something, you know what I mean? And then we can make it better and better each week. So come back next week already, and that's why it's good that we stop earlier, and show me, hey, this is a diagram, and then you can see even what's missing. And then, okay,
thank
perfect,
you.
my pleasure.
I have just a quick question
Sure.
for our certification order for the breast cancer patient.
Yes.
So I wanted to, my initial idea was to limit it to women, so it wasn't so broad, but because right, since the volume of breast cancer patients is so much and there's nothing like this in place, to limit, like to keep it within something that we can use only within the UK.
Yeah, I think we just submit it.
Would that be okay?
I got mine.
What I would do is say, we're using it as a pilot. That's what you want, is to think big,
Mm-hmm, yes. Yes.
right? So what you want to say, we're gonna use it as a pilot
Okay.
at this institution, and then later on, once we fine tune it, because you never can scale up to everybody anyway. And since you know that department well, you know that area, once you have it here, why not then share it with others, and then you can even do like a grant, and say, hey, this is needed, start with a grant, and and then one of your goals then is that other facilities can share something like this. So think about it as, I couch it as this is a pilot, where we're start with this, we're gonna get all the kinks out, and then,
What's that?
Thank
does it
you.
make sense?
Yes.
All done, bye.
Isn't that nice? But really, kudos to your group. And you know I don't give compliments out easily.
You mean to Sebastian?
No, Sebastian, it was a group effort.
It's a group effort. I know. But anyways, it seems you worked well. So anyways,
Yeah, we're
I
all
was
good
impressed.
friends. We're
That's
good
all I
friends.
give you, is I was impressed. Okay. How can I help you, my dear? Yeah.
You know, for the
I'm gonna sit.
that we, like, we did.
Right, or, yeah, let me see why, if it becomes.
Oh, we go. Oh, yeah,
If it comes to the fact
here?
you can't work with them, you don't work with them, but if they can help you, then can they even help you at all? If they can.
Or is it, oh,
You know,
how much was the authorization?
You know what, maybe it's up to you.
Under
Well,
back
maybe
test
it's
day?
different, but
see, my forever is
if you can't get
Oh, yeah, you
it,
have to put it on.
then you can say, no, so you can say, no, I'm a physician, I have more patients and so forth. And just, you can get out of it, but you should get out of it earlier. But then, did you ever respond to your Sasha?
But I can understand, maybe she's not even looking at her email.
That's what I was thinking, she just started to practice, you know, on her own.
Especially being an OBGYN.
OBG, and also, OBGYN and with, having to pay the bill, so she's not even working for the or something, she started on her
Pretty
own.
tough for her.
Oh,
Do they
I
not
haven't.
practice insurance?
Oh, well, I'm kind of starting, and, you know, having all these people come to you now, after I get in practice for so many years, you can't do, you burn out, and you can't, you come to, you do medicine, not to deal with the administration and the headaches and the staff and everything else. It's bad enough when you work, you have somebody dealing with all the other back end, you have enough problem. Yeah, now everybody's burnt out, I mean, they're coming, you know, almost crawling back here. Yeah, so that's what, so that's, but I think.
What do you suggest? Should I tell them that, you know,
And then I have to export
only the
it.
two of them go together because it's hard for me to.
It's impossible for
How
me
did
to,
you name it?
basically do
To
full
connect
time.
with them.
No,
Or
just,
not connect with them, but, you know, I'll
You
say
know.
diplomatically.
no, but what I'm saying is.
To get together.
Yeah, whatever it is, I think for right now, with the type of, since I'm,
Alright, I can
you know,
do
this,
this, but, alright.
since I'm taking this as a graduate course for translational research, I need to, I'm gonna, so, I don't have to tell them, you know, whatever.
You just see, you know,
It's
something
okay.
diplomatic.
You just, but it's better that you do it
Earlier.
earlier than better,
So I'll
and
do
it's
that
better,
tonight.
and it's better to, if you want to, and then it's better as well. Had they given you help, like that group there, you know, like the first group that they could help
You
you?
know, this doctor.
Angela?
She's fine.
Yes,
I
right.
don't mind working.
What?
I don't mind working with her, she's, you know.
Yeah, she's not, so, what? No, but she's also,
I
she's
can
a,
see
she's
them from the-
she's a big team, you know, she's a.
just
But it depends on so many things, but I'm just saying, so if you, you know, you know, you can even act, they're doing a group too, but anyway, they're doing something on security. But they're doing something that's, what doesn't get, but they wanna put this, you know, like ransomware and things like that, and they wanna, evaluate that. But she can help you doing as, that's why I have you sit next to her all the time. Sit
That's what I did today,
yeah.
because she was, oh.
Yeah,
last
right,
time.
right, just sit with her and don't, you don't have to be shy to ask her help. You can help her in other things, you know, we all have our strengths, that's why it's kinda, that's my whole thing, is this world, we need help, you know what I mean?
So I
Nobody
don't
knows.
wanna be looked upon as somebody who's not a team player, but it's.
No, it's not, you know, I don't, it's not the thing of the team player, what I wanna work with is, and you don't need to
Help each other.
help each other, that's all, and if they can help you, fine, if they can't help you, then it's not, you know, it's happened with me with other groups, I don't need to be the partners, but you know, because what I want you to do is get the most you can out of it, and I don't want it to be, that, you know what I mean, that you have to suffer, you know what I mean, that you're not getting anything.
Yeah, if I had all the time in the world.
No, it's not, you know, you're not getting anything from it, that's fine.
So I wanted to ask you, you know, I got a few things good. I got pharma and everything, and I got the Excel sheet, I'm just gonna add some of what you said. But one is that I'm not consistently able to, get the same results, like define, just now I put some biotech companies, and I run it, and then it's all blank, it's all 0, 0, 0.
It depends, I'll look at it and say, let me just help them, and then I'll help them. Yeah, it sometimes happens with zero, it depends on a lot of things, but I'll help you, okay, what's next?
So we had talked about our idea, kind of like, the habit forming and breaking app.
Yeah, right, I remember.
And so we just put it all on paper and
Okay.
have like, this for yourself.
Okay. So what is new? From the last time we spoke?
Basically we just kind of, I guess figured out more so what we're gonna do and taken like the advice that you gave us about, creating like forums and stuff that people can communicate with as well.
Yeah, so like the website's gonna, it's
So,
mainly
so what's new here?
So the website, you were talking about it last week, that we should probably do it like what's already out there for the habit apps, because they already have them for a variety of things. They're pretty niche though. So
Oh,
for
is
example,
I was wondering where this was.
So,
Somebody
like-
was saying it was hot, and I said, why, I'm like hot.
yeah, it's pretty hot over there.
You know, but it was funny, cause I said, I feel a breeze somewhere, and I'm so into myself, I had no clue. Yeah. Okay.
But
Dude, be so kind and just shut it off. Later on, I'll forget it.
so we talked about like the niche one, like for example, like there's like a smoking habit breaking app, and then there's
Yeah.
like and then like other aspects like that.
So what?
So like our website's gonna kind of focus to like talk about what's already out there, and then
Okay,
what we're
review.
gonna do, and we're gonna kind of try to focus on the nutrition, meal planning aspect of it. So that's what we're gonna try offering out. Like the website will talk about
I like
pros
this.
and
Don't
cons.
stay too long in the dining hall.
Yeah. Exactly.
Pull your chair away from the table.
Or like, it could pick up like where your location, you know, some apps do that. Like they know where you are.
Right.
And then
too
when they
close
see
to-
you,
too
when they
close
see
to
you
Too close to
potatoes.
me.
in the dining hall,
Too
they're
close
like,
to the mashed
"Not even 10
potatoes.
minutes."
Alert, alert.
You've been in the dining hall for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Do they still have that ice cream, that soft ice
Mhm.
cream? Have you guys gained weight?
I did.
I don't eat at the dining hall anymore.
Oh,
so-
you did? You mean in the
I
dining
think because
hall?
I was vegetarian, that's why I didn't eat meat. But I don't know.
I feel like for the most part the food here is pretty good.
It's
Yeah,
really-
they got a lot of good healthy
Healthy
choices.
choices, right.
Yeah.
They've made it throughout the years more healthy.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing, I don't know, they still give you, all the times when they used to give activity, they used to give pizza out.
Yeah.
And they still do a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
do
pizza.
that.
Yeah, they still have the pizza. I mean, it's like whole wheat pizza now, so it doesn't taste that great. So
No, but
like,
even like activities when, you know, at
Yeah,
it's
pretty much
still-
everything
Yeah.
pizza is like
What?
go-to.
But I'm
Yeah.
just saying that the administration, not even the kids did, but you know, when they had stuff, they used to have boxes and boxes of,
yeah.
you know.
It's because it's cheap.
I know it's cheap and everybody, who doesn't love pizza, right, but my body doesn't. Okay, okay. And then there are reverend, okay, so it may be, maybe you also wanna emphasize, I'll sign it, but think about what types of
People.
ads will
Okay.
be, what's available right now, okay. So you know it'd be nice, is maybe even, I don't know what your timing is, it's even to create a first draft of the website,
Mm-hmm.
so we can kind of, see where this is going.
Okay.
Cause you're, maybe even for next week, you know what I mean, put it up, a URL on, you know, for a project, put on the very top then the URL that we need to click on, so we can even look at it. You can be kind of like the model for the class, and in that part you can already put, you know, you can put a one page already for who's on, are these just the three or there's somebody else?
That's us three.
Okay, so put on who's, it's a good number, so put, you know, who's the team with your pictures and things, but then you can have it, but the main part that you can even do, you know, it doesn't take long, the main part is, what are you doing and where we're going with this? And maybe later on, maybe even have like a slide or something of describing where, almost in a way, of where we're going with
Their
this.
goal, like mission statement.
No, more like, these are kind of, we're gonna do apps, are we doing like the best of the apps, where we're going?
Okay.
Something like
Yeah.
that, of a slide of,
kinda like, this is what's worked in the other apps, and this is what we wanna incorporate in our
Yeah.
app, and
Kind of to think through it more. So, anybody have a pen?
I know.
There's a physician here, got this name, Josh. You related to her?
no, I don't believe so, not that I know of.
She's, I think she's supposed to just done right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Where are you
Here
from? At UM, at the health center.
Okay, I'm from right outside Boston.
Okay, good. And everything else, and what's your major again, John?
I'm a health science major.
Health science, and you're done. Finance, both.
Finance and health management.
Okay. So it's good, so now you're saying, so did you do the Ninja Trader, did you
Yeah.
upload? Okay, so, okay.
Did the updated list for this week.
Perfect, so you updated those, great, keep it up, great work. Okay.
And we take it.
You take it, you have it, and then next week, just do me a favor and put that in.
Okay, sounds
Okay,
good.
perfect.
You wanna make a folder that will get all crushed?
Okay, next. Do you want me to, do you want me to sit next to you, wanna come here or what? Here or what? Yeah, you can come here, okay. Put it here. Come on this side and then we can sit together. We can look at it together. Yeah. Okay, what are we trying to run?
So, I'm starting all over again.
Okay, so we're trying to do, go to the very top. So you wanna do optimization?
Sample image crossover.
Over
I
1
did
to
1,
10
10,
and-
1, and then I put 11 here, so it should,
25. Okay, did you select an instrument?
Okay, so then I selected, where's biotech? Okay. So biotech, I had a lot of selections, so then I thought maybe because it's so long,
No,
that I
that-
shortened it.
No, that has nothing to do with that. But anyway. Oh, you have to select all, that's okay. Select all, okay. Oh,
And
here,
here I put day, right?
Alright.
Yeah. And
And
then I
here-
changed this to 1 year
Okay.
ago.
Okay.
I run it, right? Now everything looks okay. I selected
Okay.
the instrument.
Okay, alright. Are we connected to data?
No, wait a second, you know, I made a mistake. I know what it is. I didn't do this. I didn't go to a kinetic,
Yeah, we did some,
right?
maybe. You heard.
Hmm?
You got it. You correct yourself.
No, but I'm telling you,
See?
even when I did all this.
Okay, but sometimes it happens.
Why?
I have to look,
Okay.
but sometimes it happens to me too.
So let me get out of here and start all over.
No, you don't have to, no,
No?
you should.
I tried
Okay,
doing
try
that.
again.
Oops.
Try.
Alright, so now everything's okay.
Okay, now
Biotech
run.
today.
Right now run. Let's see.
I was so excited, I thought it would come. Now it's coming. But the Dow 30 doesn't come.
Okay, well, maybe because of also. So now, did you have profit per month here?
No, so
So-
that's something that
Okay,
I'm
now,
still.
okay, so
yeah.
now, right click here.
So in mine, the column executions looks like this.
Yeah, by the way,
looks very
no,
different.
no.
So then I go to column.
No. Well, not results.
Yeah, so I went to column results and then I picked some of the things that
Yeah.
you said.
Right, so we need it for showing the profit per month.
So.
Profit per month, see.
Okay.
Now, so you, just so you know,
Mhm.
you can save your templates. profit per month, okay. And now, what we can do is if we click on this, then we get the greatest one, profit per month. You see, and we get this the top. This right here, we get this.
So how did you get it to the top?
Just double-
Automatically?
Just double click.
Oh, double click on
See,
that.
right, see your
Ah.
profit per month, it's like a little, it's like a
Mhm.
little toggle.
Ah.
So it just sorts
If it's
it.
upward, the arrow,
See,
then
yeah,
the
right,
highest
right,
will be
right,
on
right,
top.
top.
Okay.
Those we see. So this turned out to be REGN at 324 was the highest profit per month. And you understand?
So that's a date,
What?
right? 324, what is
Oh,
the
this, remember
parameter?
my fast and my slow?
Ah, your fasting is slow, okay.
So, literally, you could take this company, you remember how we did the chart?
Mm-hmm.
You could literally then take a chart with this company and say, I want 3, basically, for the fast, I want, then it would be just here. For a back test, let me just show you here. So if you did a back test, you did a back test on that company, you would put then here 3, you would put the slow 24, right? And instead of biotech, where is it? You would just use this. You would just use, and we did that for the year instrument. Let's see what happens. See? And it says you would have made total net profit 20.9%. And your short trades, look, this basically just does well on short trades. Look, 22.48% on short trades. And your profit per month should match, right? Here's the profit per month. We have it here.
I think it'll be the other one, right?
No,
The
right here.
first one?
Profit
Oh,
per
okay.
1.72 profit per month. And the short trades, see, you were negative on the longs didn't do well on this thing. So the shorts, profit per month was 1.86%.
So, this fast and slow, you got it from the strategy analyzer. So, does that mean that this company, when you say fast and you say 3 days, what is it exactly?
It means that when I have, let's say you have a graph. So you know how you have an average, like if I have 100 points, right, and I take, and every point I'm gonna divide by 100 to get the average, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I have a stock and it goes over 100 periods. Or let's even just do this. If I have a three periods, and I have 100, 150, and 200, what's the average?
I add the 3 and divide by.
3, but what would the average of 100, 150, and 200, or let's say
150.
150,
Yeah.
right? There's a 3. Well, let's say I had 100 points. Now, how many points? We're going back a year, so we have 200, let's say we have 256 points. Instead of taking 256 points and dividing it up by the divisor being 256, I take in periods of 3 and then get the average. In periods of 3, I take that 256 and just break it down to 3 points and just take the average. So
Okay.
that's what they mean when they say I have 2 points of the average of fast and slow. So if you go to the chart, let's even do it with me here, with NinjaTrader. So if I go to NinjaTrader here, right, and I have IBM here, you see this right here? This is one, right, that is it's taking the chart. But let's take this chart, right, and I'm gonna go to properties. Right, see how this says the daily right here?
Mhm.
See, this is the daily,
Mhm.
this is the daily SMA crossover, so if I go to the SMA here, see, periods, 14 periods, for instance. Let me just see, I'll show you, let me just see, let me just make a new chart, I'll show you. Okay, daily, you see that? I have daily on like a chart, IBM, right, this is IBM stuff. Now, if I go, I can even do this, the strategy, SMA. And instead, what was it, 3 and what? What was it over here?
Oh, here, okay.
Oh, 3 and 24. Oh, I forgot to name.
See, I made that mistake and I pressed it, but sometimes it doesn't check enabled, I don't know why.
But anyway. Okay, you see how this graph here, this is the same data. See this? This is, see, this is the same data. You see how much more steep this is here? You see how much this looks different a little bit, this graph? This is taking every three points and taking the average, every 3 points and taking the average. This is every 25, every 24 and taking the average. It's the same thing as even this.
Okay, so then what is slow when you say 25?
So that, they're just calling it slow. That it's slow because it's taking the average, it's slow, this is fast because these are two separate, one was fast there, the green was, basically, these were two separate, indicators. One was, why is it slow? Because it takes more time to get the average, that's all. It takes 24 days to take the average, and here it takes only 3 days to get the average. This is what the moving average is. See, it's rolling. Moving average, rolling average is a calculation that analyzes data by creating a series of averages of different subsets of full data. That's all. It's a rolling mean, it's a type of finite impulse, that's all it is.
It's
See?
amazing, you open my eyes and brain to something
See?
so different.
See, do what we got. See here, 50 days, simple moving average, how do you use a moving average, that's all. See all this, same idea. See, this is the moving average. So what, a lot of times these technical indicators, like they'll say, every 50 days they'll take the average, and what they say is, sometimes they'll use that point. If the stock is below the moving average, then we wanna short. If the stock is above the 50-day moving average, we wanna go, we wanna buy. It's like a trigger for them, see how they do. But this is one, and then if you look at it, You can have, what we're doing is we're doing 2 moving averages, and sometimes you can do 3. And we're saying, if you get another moving average, taking it at different points in time, when they cross, then that's gonna be our signal to buy or to sell. See, you see here, these are 2 moving averages. When they cross, then they say short. You see here, when they cross, one crosses above, then they say long, similar to what we were doing. And you know what Forex is? That's in currencies. You know, when you buy, like, you compare
Foreign
your-
exchange.
foreign exchange, like the US dollar against the yen, or the US dollar against the, you know, sterling against the pound, and the US against the euro. So people are saying between the two, you know, Brexit is in trouble, so we're predicting
You're
against
doing
the, right, we're doing better, so we'll bet that the dollar will be stronger. You understand? Same idea. So it's just
Okay.
like day in and out. But what's interesting here is you looking at the farmer, you're looking at some of the other stocks that you can put in. So did you get it to Excel? This? So this you're just gonna
yes.
force Excel?
So this one is biotech, right?
Okay.
Yes, so I'm
Okay.
going to, this is regenerate, so I'm gonna go back to biotech and then biotech.
Select all from the, you have to go to that other list and just select all. Yeah, 'cause we're just doing the gen.
So the property that is checked that we have everything right. Set will be vertical. Parameters, profit factor, profit per month. Total net profit. So it's not the size of the instrument list, right? It
What?
has, if it doesn't run, it's because I made a mistake somewhere.
The size doesn't matter. The only size would matter if, let's say you used 1 million, you know, but for that small amount, your RAM can handle it. Do you understand? That's the beauty, is you can analyze thousands of companies together as a group or hundreds of them. And that's the beauty. It'll do each one and iterate that rather than you having to do manually
No,
each
I
one.
love it,
Yeah.
really.
You know what I mean? And it opens up your eye. So a lot of times these companies will hire somebody like you to give them, when they're starting to read about these companies, they don't understand, is this really innovative? Is this really doable? Did I show you this one that they had? I wanted to show it to you.
So I can do this and I send it.
I wanted to show you this. Where's the- And you know, when it's sector specific, you know, when it's medical specific, you could do this and start writing rules, you know what I mean? Rather than driving yourself crazy, you just want, which one? Like this. I showed you this, like AI predicts acute kidney
Yes,
disease.
yes.
So a company like this that does it, right?
So we can see how they're doing on the
No,
stock market.
right. No, somebody say, hey, they're going public, should we invest in this? I go to somebody like you and I said, is this doable, is this, you know, I look at this, what do I know from this, from a hole in the eye, you know what I mean? So here's a company, Google,
You know, I'm really not very convinced about AI and predictive
I know,
AI.
but that's what I'm saying, but I'm coming somebody like to you that really knows this field, should I invest in this, it's gonna be really useful. Cause here they're saying the papers published in Nature, partnership they're finding can predict the presence of AKI, you know, that's acute kidney injury, up to 48 hours before it happens.
I mean, for a clinician who's used to doing this all the time,
You can do
kind of
that,
predict.
right, so that's what I'm saying, so is this really the model correctly done 9 out of 10 whose patients worsened to the point that they needed dialysis? And if they can do it 48 hours, how important is that? And is it used not for maybe a kidney specialist, but would it be good for a nurse practitioner? You know what I mean? Those are,
I guess for people who are novices at this, it might be useful for them.
you know, but I'm saying, but what my point here is, this is what they would use you for. You know what I mean? Just like you were asking me to help you with the software.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I know nothing about this. I don't know if it's useful, right? So if I were a venture capitalist, or if I were trying to decide this is Google's kind of thing, and if they were going to buy another company that developed this, how useful is this? You know, are you finding that problem in the field that 48 hours is this person going to die, or is this person going to get so much worse they can't get a kidney you know what I mean? You know that field so much. I don't know. Just like I can tell you, software development, that's ridiculous they're doing this. You know what I mean? Just like you can tell me. Or who would it be good for? That's all I'm telling you is all this technology of them using you for or your expertise, or let me give you, if I could just grasp some of your expertise that you could then put into some kind of rule based.
You already gave me an idea for a business, for my retirement.
Do you understand? Seriously, I'm telling you how long, you know what I mean, of you being, do you understand? You being a consultant here and giving people like that Google, who's doing, what is a big deal for Google to pay you, you know, a couple $100,000 to be their, person, you know what I mean? Somebody's paying a QQ, right? Research wanted to change AI, DeepMind owned by, partner with VA, so what is it for Google to hire you? And here they tried it known as streams. The results that the app's special review current cases within 50 as opposed to several hours. Mobile assistant for clinicians. You know what? But
It's
that,
like, you know.
I know,
if
there was a
somebody
lot,
predicts-
I'll tell you, they did something for, I went to something working with accountants, and they developed a system, and it was two things, it was similar to this, but it was many years ago, and they said, they thought it was a good maybe training method for young accountants just out of school to learn the rules of what you have to do, but it wasn't for the expert, because the expert can do better than that. And when people actually saw the thing, they still called the expert and said, I don't trust the computer, tell me what it is, you understand? So the difference is not for you, but the difference is, I'm thinking somebody out in the field that I don't have access to you.
It's true.
Do you understand? Because you're thinking about you seeing it, you probably can even smell it. You know what I mean? I'm giving you just that thing that you can even, you know it so well that you, just like other things, you know, you have that sense. That you,
Yeah, the
you,
sixth sense,
you have
right?
the sixth, you can look at their face, right? They probably have a certain look on them, right?
Yes,
That
yes,
you're gonna get, and especially with kidney disease, right? That there probably isn't, you know, there, you even have, it's almost like the dogs that can smell cancer, right?
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
Right,
See this.
so, how else can I help you? But you've come along, you made it like in the email again, you know?
Yeah, yesterday night I really worked on it and I said, okay, I must be making a mistake, let me
Right,
concentrate.
Right, okay, so you got it.
But sometimes the strategy analyzer doesn't work.
I
It's
know,
completely wrong.
I know.
So I Googled
Right,
it
right.
like you tell me to.
Right.
And they said sometimes that happens.
Right. You know, there's always issues, right? Didn't I tell you, if you don't, and you know what? Do you know step recorder?
Yes,
Right.
yes. So I step recorded it last night to show you.
Right,
that
say,
it's all
did you
wrong.
know about step recorder before?
No,
See?
it's such a lovely thing to have. I love
Right,
it.
and it's for problems. It's
Yeah.
just not, just when I have a problem, short little problem, let me just record those steps.
Yeah. I actually recorded it for
Yeah,
you
you-
so
you-
you
you
can
see, but you understand, but it's good, then you can even send it to someone else, you can see how to work. And it's the same thing, what I'm showing you too, it's when you're gonna have to supervise those programmers, that's what you want them to do,
Yes,
you know what I
yes,
mean?
Yes,
They
yes.
won't.
Yes, so coming to the grant.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
where are we with that?
So, you know, tomorrow actually I'm, it's coming along because I was getting a little disappointed last week
I know you.
with the computer
Right.
programmers and all that. But
Right, and
I
the
had a meeting on
statistician.
Friday. It, you know, everybody was
More on
was,
pace.
yeah,
On
you know,
task.
going along with,
Right.
on task, right. So then, that guy, Chris Mader, actually made an appointment tomorrow at 1:00 with, the medical information officer, so that he can give us some written information about how to, you know, link to RedCap, because that's really important for me,
Yeah.
and I need a letter of support from him
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
So if I do that, that'd be good. The statisticians, after I got angry over
I know.
why they're not responding to me, they're on it every single day that I don't even have the time to respond to them.
That's good.
But I think it's
Sometimes
gonna
you
come
need to
along
do,
well.
sometimes you need to do that,
Yeah,
'cause
so,
they, all these guys, I work with them all day long, you know, they neglect you, and then sometimes you have to be tough, and then they'll, all of a sudden, they
yeah.
jump to their feet.
So, no, I think I'm getting somewhere. So I thought after tomorrow's conversation and after my conversation with the statistician, I'll try to put more into the research strategy. Now, I just need to make sure that what I'm writing about you is correct. And
You
what,
want that, you want my,
and
You want my
how you
bite?
can help me.
right,
I don't know what version I sent you. Maybe tomorrow I'll send you the latest version.
Yes,
Not
sir.
tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow is a busy day.
right, remember you want, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
don't, yeah, send me what you have, and then
Mhm.
I can tell you how I can help you.
Okay.
Realistically on that. But I think, you have to see, of course, I can't help you on the subject matter, right?
Because,
Right,
Yeah,
it's always, but I
because-
can help you in another part.
yeah.
Maybe
So
best
tomorrow when I
practice.
have the conversation with the medical information officer, I will get an idea of what he's gonna do, so I can write that there, so that then,
Yeah,
I know what you,
what,
you-
where, right, and then you can, and you know what, you can why don't you write a draft of what you think I can do,
Mhm.
and then I can edit it,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
I already did,
Yeah.
but I wanted to have this conversation with the medical,
Yeah,
so
right,
that,
so
there's
that's
no
what I'm saying,
duplication.
right,
Yeah.
and then, write what you think I can do for you, and then I can correct it or say, you know,
Mhm.
this is what I can, and then figure out, and yeah, what I understand, if we do this, is I'll be a consultant,
Yes.
and and then I have to define what that actually means when I'm a consultant.
You don't have to be,
You just can come to me time for, we,
so, what I'm thinking is,
yeah,
you know, I was going through a website, that the government puts out, it's
yeah, you can come and get it.
the usability.gov or whatever, and they talk about,
Let me just tell you. Thank you at least we figured it out, everything. Make
Yeah.
sure that I turned it off. So did you understand, so now that you can help, you understand from George, then George, you understand what you need to do too when you, oh, you just pick it up, you don't bring it in.
What do you mean? I'm
that-
confused.
that this was just on mute, was that the
Yeah,
problem?
I know how to handle that, but yeah, it was just on mute.
That was our only problem.
Yeah,
supposedly.
just the volume was down too, so even if.
Yeah, but it was mute, so the
Yeah.
volume could have been all the way up. If it's mute, it's mute.
Yeah, so it was both things.
Okay, good. At least we learn. Every day we learn something. Any
Yeah.
day I learn something, I feel better. And at least we resolved the problem, right? That's the
And
main.
the day you stop learning, you start dying.
Yeah. Well,
Somebody said that. I don't know.
somebody said that, I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah.
The brain
that's it.
starts dying, it's taking the day to start.
it's all right. Something, okay, great.
Wait, is it the other way?
No,
No.
I'm just thinking that.
She's just thinking, she's a physician, so she's,
Oh,
so
okay.
she's just thinking, she knows dying well, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Okay,
thought it was that one, yeah.
Okay,
So,
ciao.
Bye, have a good night.
yeah.
So then,
Oh, about what?
yes, the usability. So when I was going through that website, I felt that maybe a lot of that, maybe, you know, one of your roles might be helping us with that usability, because I never realized what a big deal that is. So that
Mhm.
is going to test every part of the
Right,
program.
and then you know what we can also do,
Mm.
is you can have sample users along the way.
Mhm.
Just like when we'd be testing, remember how I said like that agile development, you can have a couple, even maybe that form that had.
The software.
Or just somebody.
Yeah,
you
he's
could-
gonna be, I'm calling him my stakeholder too.
Oh, okay, all right, but I'm just saying that they can test it along the way, and you know what you can do, is we can even do like a screen casting, where they can speak about how they're using it,
Mhm.
and then they can talk through what are the issues.
Okay, actually, that's a great idea.
Is that you? You know what I mean, somehow, no time. Okay,
It's
so
my
I'm gonna,
husband. Yeah. No, I think, my daughter.
okay, so go ahead.
Let me just tell her I'll call her.
Finally shaved.
Listen, I'm gonna call back later, I'm in class. My children, they go on Google Hangout at this time of the night.
And where are they?
So one is in Boston, the other was in San Francisco, and my daughter is in DC.
So how many kids you have?
3.
3, so they, what do they do?
You laugh at me?
What? I laugh at you all the time already, so what's new?
Let's see.
It's great. You know, really,
So-
I think we've become good friends, so it's good. We hit it off right away, I think, so it's okay. All right, so what?
So the one in Boston is actually doing a PhD in machine, his field is machine diagnostics.
Really?
And he's beginning to start his own business too. So.
He's in where, Boston or?
In Boston.
Okay, that's.
So in MIT, you know, they have
Like-
a more of an entrepreneur.
So what was his undergraduate in?
In mechanical engineering.
And
And then
then?
he did manufacturing. And then he worked for a little bit in company in California. Anyways,
Yeah.
it deals with mechanical engineering.
Right,
So he did it for 1 year and he said, this is not for me.
right.
You know, they were not progressive thinkers, and he said, okay, no, I wanna go to a place where people.
Right, that's not me.
So he went and joined his friend in Boston, who had a startup company.
Okay,
And then he went through the motions of what it means, you know, to deal with a startup company.
Right,
And then
right.
they had to, you know, close it down.
Right,
He
right.
sold it to
Right,
some
right.
other company.
yeah,
And then he said, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do a PhD.
okay. In
That's
what,
all.
in
So
what
that's a
department?
Machine, PhD, what department is it? But he said it had to do with machine diagnostics, so
Yeah, machine diagnostic.
machine learning and stuff like
Is it
that.
machine?
Yeah.
Okay, what department is it? It's like what? It's in engineering?
Yes. that's
Oh,
in
okay,
engineering.
Like
Yes.
machine processing and diagnostics, is that kind of, and the machine can diagnose itself, is that, it's
Yeah,
a big.
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. He was working in 3D printing, you know, his friend owned the 3D printing
Uh-huh.
company.
Yeah.
And then when they, you know, resolved it,
Uh-huh.
then he said, okay, let me do something connected with machine diagnostics, because
Right.
I think you know, after going through all that, he felt that might be a good
Yeah.
area.
That's good.
So my
It's up and
second
coming.
son,
Right.
yeah, my second son
Yeah. Where is
is
he?
in statistics and economics. He worked for Ubernomics.
Uh-huh.
And then now he started his PhD in Stanford.
Really great. And what's he studying?
He's a PhD in economics.
Oh, in economics. Okay.
So
And what's the daughter doing?
the daughter did her undergrad and said she's gonna work. I said, yeah, good.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
it's-
go work.
enough of this academic crap. Go make a living. Yeah, and what's she doing?
So she is working for a consulting company, Charles River, something like that. It's some
What
data
did she
analytics.
study?
She's doing data analytics.
Okay, okay. So we're right up there.
Yeah.
My mother now is too.
None of them decided to go to medicine. My middle son said, I don't want to have anything to do with science. I said, okay.
But he is.
My middle one? No.
Why?
Economics.
Yeah, but that's, okay. All right, anyways, okay. And then she studied what?
What about you?
I just have, two, one in, both in California. And,
Sons, daughters?
What? Daughters.
Oh. And what are they doing?
One is a counselor, a psychologist, and another one is in library science.
Ah, nice.
Completely different, huh?
Yeah, nice. Are they happy?
Thrilled.
Oh, that's,
They're both
you know,
married.
in the end, that's what's important.
What?
Yeah.
And they both, one married a comedian,
Uh-huh.
a comedy writer,
Uh-huh.
and the other married he's like a nerd. He's software engineer for Disney.
Good. So you really settled down with your kids. They married?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, you're-
When
Huh?
I'm wondering when mine was.
You don't have any control, my
I'm so
dear.
stupid, you know, I
What?
shouldn't be thinking that
I
way.
know, but you can't help it, right? You can't help it, right?
I can't, yeah.
You're right. I
I'm
mean,
so
it-
old fashioned.
No, but it's like Jeanette, it's,
And nowadays, you can't think that way.
I know you can't, and then they don't get married, even, or they do, they either, any of them have boyfriend, girlfriends, or,
So the older one is seeing someone.
uh-huh.
The middle
I
one,
think-
I
and have
don't
you-
know.
Oh, right, and
He's
the one
very
that-
quiet.
And the older one, he tells you he met her, or?
I haven't met him, because I figured, you know, they first have to decide.
Right, and and well, he'll just tell you whether he wants to meet you or not, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
No, he hasn't
What?
said anything yet.
Okay, so good. The main thing, they're happy, they're healthy,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, that's the most important
right,
thing for me.
what do you care, anything else?
Actually, I worry about my older one. I feel like he's taking too much on him, but then.
But look at his mother,
Yeah, that's true.
they're probably worried about you too, that the mother's taking on too much. What, does she have to be in class now at 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah, so
Right,
nowadays,
right.
actually, they look at me in a different way, because before, they looked at me only as a mother.
Right, they didn't even know that you did anything, right?
You know, my daughter actually said, I never told her I was a doctor, and, because she hated doctors. So around the age of 3.5 or 4, I think one of her classmates, maybe she was my patient or something, I don't know, whatever it was. She said, "Oh, your mom's a doctor." I said, "No, my mom's not a doctor." She was so adamant. She came home and she said, "Mom, are you a doctor?" And when I said yes, she was so disappointed.
Okay, they probably gave her a shot or something, what, the doctor? But she didn't
And then
like
when
them.
she turned 8, she said, "Mom, why are you that stupid kidney doctor? why can't you do something like the heart?
Who needs kidneys? Kidneys are useless, huh? The heart.
I know. And then I used to drop them off in school, and then she would always say, Mom, why don't you be a teacher? See, they're talking about it on the radio, that there's a teacher shortage. So why don't you just train for 6 months and be a teacher?
Funny.
You can come home with me, you have all the
Holidays,
holidays.
you don't have to work like a dog. There's something to it now. There's some wisdom to it sometimes, right?
Of course.
Because she probably sees that you were working. You know, that's what I was always saying.